Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to this summer recruitment evening hosted by Keenan Recruitment. We're really excited to have a number of employers along today, as well as some of our support workers and social work staff. So thank you all for attending, and the format of tonight is going to be nice and relaxed, where we'll hear from a number of employers and then have the opportunity to ask questions at the end. There'll also be an opportunity to share details and get connected and share connections. So for everyone, this is my contact details. If there's anything you want to ask about this evening or anything you'd like to find out more about, you can message us on a number of these different profiles, including Twitter, our recruitment website, which is keenanhealthcare.co.uk, or on LinkedIn, and Instagram is our newest addition to the social scenarios. So we're just going to have a chat about the agenda tonight, which is around the marketplace in Northern Ireland as it stands today, and some of the trends that we've been noticing. And then we'll have presentations from NSPCC, Simon Community, NIACRO, and Max. So just to give you a bit of background, with Keenan Recruitment, we do support the public, private, and third sector, and we are one of the market leaders in the healthcare space, which has been great in terms of building up our network of support, especially with the student pipeline. What we have noticed in this year is there's been a real heavy focus on the public sector. And so tonight was really about sharing best practice and some of the great work that our private and third sector clients do. So without further ado, I'm going to move on to the NSPCC, and they'll be doing our first presentation. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now, and Patty, if you want to share your screen with us, that should be fine. Oh, you're just on mute, I think, or have I muted everyone?
No, you're all right. Is that showing okay for everybody?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So as I say, we're going to just have a chat about our NSPCC. So we launched in March 1991, and we were the first 24-hour child protection. Sorry, excuse my slides are. Yeah, so we are the first child protection helpline, 24-hour. And since then, that time, the demand has increased massively for our service. We have a base in Belfast, where we have a series, or we've got 5 teams in Belfast of helpline practitioners. We also have a base in Salford with 8 teams, and we've expanded now into Birmingham, and we have got 2 teams based in Birmingham, although we are hopefully looking to expand that again. Our teams are based up mostly of helpline practitioners, helpline advisors, and practice managers. So the remit of the NSPCC, the actual work that we do, is very varied and very different. Each day is very much different. So we're here for anybody who has concerns about a child. So it doesn't matter if they're a parent, a carer, or a professional. If they're in need of advice, we are able to take those calls from 8 a.m. now right through to 11 o'clock at night. We also offer advice and support for survivors of non-recent abuse, as well as guidance on professionals who are after a bit of signposting for young people that they might be working with. We offer support, we give advice, we also assess child welfare concerns, and when we think it's appropriate, we also make referrals onto statutory agencies for their consideration. So generally the people that we would refer into would be Children's Services, the police, and LADO. We also offer a range of commissioned helplines and specialist helplines, including FGM, whistleblowing, and abuse in sport. So the roles of the NSPCC, the kind of work that we do, we have our helpline advisors, okay? So their main task is to respond to the contacts of the NSPCC from members of public and professionals. They're our first point of entry into the helpline. They're very much the triage, and they decide what's the best route for that person calling, and that can either be a direct contact into the helpline, it can be offering a callback, or it can be offering kind of additional support services into other areas within the NSPCC. Okay, so again, our starting salary is 19,000 to 21, and we do have a 3.5% rota allowance, because we do take into consideration that the shift work and the type of shifts you'd be doing could be from 8 a.m. right through to 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. Then we have our practice advisors, our helpline practitioner roles. So our helpline practitioner roles, they offer the immediate support and guidance. Okay, so they would be spending time on the phone with a member of the public, exploring the concerns, managing the risk, and again, looking at how best to support that person and whether that be an onward referral. So again, our kind of starting salary is at 24, going up to 29, and again with a 3.5% rota allowance. Within this role, we do look for an appropriate social care, health, education qualification, and post-qualifying experience of working in a role where you've held a level of responsibility for safeguarding children and families. So at the minute, the kind of people that we currently have in the helpline practitioner role come from social care, from children's services, from police, probation, teachers, drug and alcohol workers, and counsellors. So those are the kind of qualifications that we're currently have within our helpline practitioner team. Very much on this role, no 2 days will ever be the same. You know, one day you could be supporting a member of the public, the next it could be within professionals, it could be parents, and again, it's exploring a very wide range of child protection concerns, anything from neglect, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional harm, domestic abuse, radicalisation, non-recent abuse. Now, that's not to say you have to be an expert in every single one of those fields. You know, we do offer a wide range of training within that helpline practitioner role as well to allow you to address the risks and immediacy of concerns. Then we have our practice manager role. So the practice manager role provides the line management and supervision for those helpline practitioners and helpline advisors. And they're very much on shift to support the practitioner, identify the risk, address their risk, and decide which is the most appropriate agency to support and share that information with. The role would also be seen to be doing managing complaints, managing compliments, and working specifically with our tracking and impact team and our domestic abuse team as well. Again, so your starting salary there is looking at 30,000 and moving up to 35. Again, we're looking for that social care qualification, health or education qualification, and post-qualifying experience of working in an environment where not only have you had to offer safeguarding, but you've also coached and developed staff. So it's about more of your line management side of things as well. So within the NSPCC, we have 5 kind of core values that we kind of work towards. And I think it kind of reflects the organisation that we are. So we look to put children first, making sure that they're at the focus of every piece of work that we do. Take a stand, and again, that can be within our own government and within policy making, where we feel we need to represent the voice of the child. We do look to work together, and that's not just within our own NSPCC organisation, but as well beyond within kind of place, within our LADO, within our schools. Constantly striving for excellence, And we hope that our practitioners and our staff also feel that they can strive for excellence. And we do offer kind of training packages and support staff when they're going through their post-qualifying experience and things like that. We do offer training days to kind of support that, because we want our staff to be the best they can possibly be. And again, we're always seeking to make an impact and to really develop the roles and the lives of children that we're kind of working with. We also, within the NSPCC, we also have a benefits plan as well. So we have a pension scheme, we have life insurance, we have an employee assistance program, because we recognize that the work we do can have an impact on people's health and well-being, and we want to make sure that our staff are well catered for. If they want to avail of counselling sessions or they wish to have support, we have an employee assistance program available to all staff. We have 29 days annual leave, plus your bank holidays. And after 5 years with the NSPCC, that increases up to 32 days. We are a very family-friendly organisation. We couldn't be putting children first if we didn't think of our own staff and their families. So we have paternity leave, maternity leave, parental leave, carers leave, adoption leave. And then, as well as that, we also have some promotional links within the NSPCC, so such as fitness clubs, O2, Vodafone discounts, and we kind of work to be able to offer back services to our own staff. So that is just a little bit about the NSPCC, a bit of a whistle-stop tour of what we are currently employing within our Northern Ireland office. However, on our website, you'll also see links to some of our other job offers, which include things like our fundraising team, our policy writing team, and our human resources team. But those are kind of our 3 roles that we kind of work very closely with Keenan in terms of our recruitment. So there you go. Whistle-stop tour.
Thanks so much, Patty. That was really interesting. And I can speak from experience with some of the staff that we have placed there. Just the feedback, just how warm and welcoming the team have been. They have said that it is intense, and the training, is
Yes,
is really important in terms of building that resilience, and actually having the staff there together really builds that morale. And I think that's really important for us.
Yeah,
I suppose as an organization, when we do, support different areas.
Of course. Well, we have a 6-week induction process, and part of that induction process will be 4 days classroom-based training, with an additional 4 days specific around domestic abuse. Some of that training may also happen in Salford, or it may happen in Birmingham. So there is travel within the role as well. And again, it's about the job's very much what you make it. And we do offer those team development days and opportunities for you to explore areas of child protection that you're really interested in, and kind of run with that, and then develop that training and lead it onto your own team as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing
No
that. I
worries.
think it's really interesting to see just the different aspects. And if anyone wants to avail of access to our buddy system, which is where we will link you in with someone who's actually been in the role or has started in the role, that's something that we can do. So if you want to have a wee chat privately about that, please do let me know via email, and we'll be able to get that organised for you. Patty, do you want to stay on to the end for questions, or would you like me to just give you a wee rundown of any ones that might be related to yourself?
I'll stay on, because I'm really interested to hear actually about from the other organisations as well.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, our next speaker. Okay, so next we're going to hear from the Simon community. So if you would like me to stop sharing and allow you to go ahead and share your screen.
Hi there. Oh, Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Allison. I'm one of the Human Resources Officers at Simon Community. And we also have with us Conal McKenna, who is the Service Manager for Housing First for Youth Service. He's going to tell you a little bit about that service. And then we also have Derek McParland, who works within our Drug and Outreach team. So he's going to tell you a little bit about the service as well. And then if you have any questions about sort of recruitment and that side of it and what sort of offer posts we have on offer, I'll have a wee chat with you at the end. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, thanks for having me, folks. I suppose I haven't got a PowerPoint presentation to provide with you, so it's a little bit off the cuff, but I'll tell you about the Housing First for Youth service, for which we're currently actively recruiting. So as Lisa's mentioned there, I'm the manager for the service. And I suppose if I was talking to prospective employees for our service, I'd be talking about the level of energy that's required to come work for us. We want people that are enthused and energetic and want to work with young people and are enthused by working with young people. If you're that kind of person, this can be a really, really interesting and exciting role. We work with young people between the ages of 16 and 21. They are all care leavers. They are young people that are coming from a very complex background within care. And I suppose all of the sort of the adverse effects of having to spend time in care and the traumas that may be associated with that. But we would work with them very much on a strengths-based approach. Each young person we work with in a person-centered manner. We work with them in a holistic manner in order to assist their transition from residential care facilities into the community. Sorry, I'm getting pop-ups on the screen here, so just making sure I'm still connected. I think I am. So it's very much, as I say, an holistic-based approach to supporting young people who do come with complex needs. And that means that every day is different. It means that, as I say, a lot of energy and enthusiasm is required within the role. But it also means that, you know, our staff are engaging in a lot of activity-based engagement with young people. It's not all about the sort of nuts and bolts of support. We have to work with young people who, as much as we talk about enthusiasm and energy from our perspective, they need to be enthused and energized to engage in the support we're trying to provide them. So a lot of working with them on their level and involving things they're interested in. So that can, as I say, mean that on different days we're taking kids playing crazy golf, we're going for hikes in the mornings. Every day is different, every day is a bit of an adventure. But I'll stop ad libbing for a second and just tell you a little bit about the Housing First for Youth service. Okay, so Housing First for Youth is a 24/7 community-based support project, and we operate with a housing first model to support young people from a care background. I'll just expand on what the housing first model means briefly in a moment. We operate in partnership with the Northern, Belfast and Southeastern Health and Social Care Trusts, and also with the Northern Ireland Housing Executive. We work with a small number of young people within each of our trust areas. The capacity is 8. And what that means for us is that we can work very, very intensively with these young people, spending a lot of time with them, intensive time getting to know them, building trust. So it's not a piecemeal type of support. It's in depth. And I suppose we would look at it as the kind of support model that can really make a difference in these young people's lives. So there's a real privilege in that for our staff. They have an opportunity here to work in a manner with young people that need a lot of support to change their lives quite dramatically. That certainly is the aim. Our young people come into the service at the age of 16 or 17, and they will stay with us at present up until 21, although we are looking to expand that on that age range as we progress. We are a pilot scheme, which means that the service is still developing, and again, for staff that are working with us, regardless of the capacity and a support work capacity, a frontline service delivery capacity, there's a lot of scope for staff to really make an impact on service delivery and to shape how the service develops. It is still quite a new service. It's 4 years old. I suppose what other things I should mention in relation to how we work are we have a focus on engaging young people in education, training and employment. We're a harm reduction service, so there is a low threshold and low barriers to engagement for young people that have support needs in relation to alcohol and substance use. As I've mentioned already, we're person-centered, which also means we're high tolerance. We're the kind of service that employs people, that wants to give young people a first, second, third, and 300th and 400th chance. Where it's difficult, we aren't the kind of service that run away and give up. And that's really, really important to us. And as I said, in terms of engaging with the young people, it's working with them on their level. It's engaging them in things that they're interested in, even in relation to community resources, activities, recreational things, in order to I suppose, assist the process of supporting them practically in relation to their housing needs, their educational needs, their needs in relation to their health, physical health, mental health, etc. And that's, I suppose, the broad brushstrokes of what we do. In relation to the Housing First model, just to give you an idea briefly of what that means. It's placing housing as a human right at the centre of everything we do. It's placing choice and control for the people that are engaging in a Housing First model of support at the centre of everything we do. It's focused on recovery orientation, harm reduction I've mentioned already. It's person-centered, and it's flexible support for as long as the young person, in our case, these are young people in their late teens, early 20s, require it. So in terms of exiting that support, we're very much working towards a model now that can lead to a continuity of support for young people going forward, with that high tolerance ethos, that housing as a human right ethos, and that harm reduction approach at the centre of their continued support, either via Housing First for Youth or via a step-down service as they move forward further into adulthood. So as I say, a little bit off the cuff, Laura, and apologies for that. But I will, as Patty, I'll hang around at the end and answer any questions and provide any clarity that I can. Thank you for your time.
Hey everyone, my name is Derek McParlin. As Lee says, I'm the drug and alcohol coordinator for the hostels, and it's just to give you a brief idea. So we have, I think it's approximately 20 hostels ranging all over the country. We have different levels. So we would have support workers, and what they would be doing, as Colin touched on, it's about looking at every aspect of the person's life. So looking at their situation, why have they found themselves homeless? What support do they need? So we would really push, it's called the biopsychosocial model, which is basically looking at every aspect of their life. Where do they need supported with regards to biology, psychology, their social needs? Do they need help? Like a day-to-day activity of a support worker was they might need to get housing points maximized. They might need to get somebody registered with the doctor. They might be taking part in activities with the clients. We could have a thing like NASPs, which are needs assessment support plans. So what we are looking to do is each support worker will have several clients that they'll work with, and what they will do is look through these needs assessments to see how we can help that person, because ideally Simon community, unfortunately, is a necessary evil, and it shouldn't be the case where hostels exist, but unfortunately they do. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to end homelessness. That's our vision. And by ending homelessness isn't just getting somebody a house. It's about looking at every aspect of their life and looking to show how we can support them so they can invariably support themselves. We have other roles as well within the hostels. We have the senior practitioner roles, we have the project managers. We've also really exciting roles. For example, previously I was in the drug and alcohol outreach team, which we assertively outreach people who might have substance use issues, addiction issues, and would have mental health issues. And the whole idea, as Conal touched on, it's about that harm reduction approach, meeting them where they're at. We have the wellbeing team, which these guys would go, and they're allotted hostels, and they would go from a therapeutic against a dual diagnosis way, where we're looking at mental health and substance use and seeing how we can support them. We would also have the Housing First model, where the guys will try help, like, so we have a specific team that'll come in and help our support staff with regards to housing issues and things like that, how to maximize points. The Simon community is a very exciting place to be at the minute, because I feel what we're doing is this biopsychosocial model is really, really interesting, and it's looking to really incorporate every aspect of the person's life. But with regards to staffing levels, we're very aware that we're working with a very specific type of clientele, and they might have their own issues and need their support needs. So for example, we have a very robust and tailored training plan. We've safeguarding with ethos and values. We have naloxone training, which is a level 3 OCN certified course. We have now an alcohol management plan, training working with alcohol users. There's a lot, and there's training always being added. So whenever you come to Simon Community, it's not just here's a person to work with. There's a lot of support there to get you to the place where you feel that you're able, and you know you're doing the person justice. But from my perspective, it's really exciting. It's really changed as an organization in a positive, and it's really moving forward. We're constantly expanding and looking at new ways to develop the Simon Community, which I'm quite excited about as well. So thank you.
Thanks so much for sharing that. It's always so interesting to see, where organizations, currently are and what they're looking, to do next, and obviously reflecting back in terms of seeing what needs your service users have had and how you've been able to adapt the organization to that, and how you're actually engaging your staff in terms of actually driving that forward. So that's always really positive and something to look for when you are looking for a company that you'd like to work with. So thanks so much for sharing, guys. So Johnny, I think you are up. You're next. Thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you very much. My name is Johnny. I work for NIACRO. And if you don't follow Laura Lee on LinkedIn, you're missing out. She does some very motivational stuff. And thanks for asking me to come along tonight. So I'm sitting here in our Portdown office, and I'm actually just looking at the names of our staff in the filing cabinets. And I was just thinking, we have 130 staff across Northern Ireland, based in all sorts of places. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I'm just thinking, out of the 130 staff, I'd be hard pressed to think of anybody that's here for the money. Not that they don't pay well, but it's just people are very, very passionate about their work. And, there's a lot of success and a lot of happy stories, as well as, obviously anyone who works in this sector knows it's not all happy stories, but there's some very, very good ones, where children have stayed in school, reconnected with education, families being able to kind of cope with the idea of maybe a loved one being in prison, a parent being in prison, and that kind of thing. So NIACRO is over 50 years old, and we would work in a number of places. So we work in all 3 prisons. So we work in Highbank, McGilligan and McGabry. We would also be co-located in all probation offices across the province. And we have our headquarters in Belfast. We have an office in Portdown here. And we also have an office in Derry, Londonderry. And so we have about 20 different projects. So it's quite broader scope. And we have adult services, and we've children and family services. And they're quite different types of work. Sometimes the children and families work is a lot to do with kind of helping children and families cope who've maybe just on the edge of the justice system, who might be getting into trouble, starting to drop out of school, that kind of things. Providing a lot of direct support. Some of our staff would be social work qualified, and our head of services, Kira Carrigan, is a qualified social worker, and she would have done a lot better than I'm doing tonight. So if anyone does have any questions, I can give you Kira's contact details. She's very happy to speak to you. But I suppose I just want to share something very quickly on the screen here. I don't have a presentation, but I'm just going to share a bit of our website for 1 second. That's our 5 values. So justice, dignity, citizenship, anti-violence, and accountability. And I suppose it's just what we're trying to do is we're trying to make the world a safer place by, giving support to young people and families, and also to adults. Sometimes there's a misconception that NIACRO just works with, prisoners and that kind of thing, but it's not true. Like, we do work with, young families all over the place. So we have the early intervention services, and we've got the CAPS projects, and but yeah. So I mean, I suppose I joined NIACRO in 2016 on a 5-month contract, and I'm still here. So that says something. There's a lovely ethos about the place, and I would recommend it to people who are interested in working. With the 20 projects, there's a real variety of work. Now, what I do personally is I help people disclose criminal records. So I've worked a little bit with Laura Lee in the past, looking at, how do people maybe who want to go to do social care careers, who maybe have something from their past, you know, maybe a diversity youth conference from when they were a young person. Like what we're all seeing now in different organizations, I'm sure the other speakers will agree, is we need people with lived experience to actually be there to talk about what it's like. So personally, I've never been in prison. Well, I've been in about 15 different prisons, but not as a client, professionally. But we do need people on our teams that, you know, will be able to say, I was homeless, I was, you know, maybe I was traumatized, or, you know, that kind of thing, or I've been in prison. And we see those people with lived experience do make great staff. You know, again, I suppose some of the other speakers will probably testify to this, but I know that for any of the people that I know from the different projects and different organizations that have lived experience, they're even more passionate than the rest of us, and they really do help turn people around. So yeah, so if you do want to look at career in NIACRO, we do regularly recruit. We usually use community NI jobs is usually where you will find the vacancies and that kind of thing. But if you do have any other questions about NIACRO, don't hesitate to contact me, and I'll put you in touch with the relevant person who's over the project. Thank you.
Thanks, Johnny. And actually, this might be a good place to pause. I know Claire from Max is going to be joining us in a couple of minutes. But I did have a question, maybe on the advertisement that you were coming along today, Johnny. And they have said, I have convictions from 5 years ago, but I'd like to apply for the social work degree. Would I be excluded, or how would I explain that?
Okay, so what I would suggest to you is that you do contact me. I can look at the individual convictions and see what they are. Generally, when it comes to convictions, when it comes to regulated activity, you've got two types of convictions. One is specified, and the other is not unspecified. So a specified conviction is a drugs, sexual or violent offences. They are more problematic for this sector. What I will say is I work very closely with the colleges, with Ulster, Queen's, Belfast Met, different colleges, to look at, you know, their policies on intake of students, because I think what people are recognizing is, you know, a blanket ban on people with convictions is not a clever idea, but we do need to risk assess, and we do need to assess the convictions to see whether there is any sort of a big issue there. So I would say contact myself, and I would be able to give you individual advice on that. But I do work very closely with the colleges and those providers in sort of doing proper risk assessments, not just kind of like being very risk averse, but actually being very practical and looking at the actual conviction and seeing what the outcome was and that kind of thing. And then we can help you write a disclosure statement, because we think that's the best way to disclose, rather than just verbally trying to explain it. To actually write it out, and it gives you a bit more clarity as well for yourself. So.
No, that's really helpful, Johnny. Thanks for answering that query, and I'll definitely feed back to the candidate. Just in terms of your own experience, are you starting to see more people taking that next step into reaching out to providers? Are you seeing that as employers, more people who have convictions coming forward and offering disclosures, and how do you manage that?
Is that to me, or is that to everybody?
Yeah, maybe Lisa, from your point of view in HR, is that what you're sort of, are you seeing any patterns?
Yeah, we definitely do have candidates who would come forward, who initially they might phone and explain that they have maybe had something, you know, that has been disclosed, and ask sort of how to go about it and if we would accept them within the organization. And we do, you know, we have taken staff who have had criminal convictions. What tends to happen is, once it's disclosed and comes through on their access NI, we would then, depending on what it is, we would maybe meet with them, or just maybe it might even be a phone call just to clarify a bit more information around what that maybe conviction has been, to determine if it would be, you know, something of concern, and if not, then we would, you know, continue with the employment. So, you know, we would advise anybody who has, you know, had convictions or anything in the past to still apply, and, you know, we would take it on an individual basis.
Thanks so much, Lisa. That's really helpful. Connell has just messaged the group, or maybe just to me, that he has to nip on soon. So if anyone has any questions for Connell in terms of his housing first, I'd love to, if you want to pop them in the chat, I'm sure we can address them. I suppose, Connell, the one that would probably be related to you from the ones that pre-submitted was, how do you support your staff in terms of growing in not only their role, but also in their career, maybe moving up the ranks if they maybe don't have a professional qualification?
Sure. So I suppose Derek touched on this in relation to the sort of core training the Simon community do, which does generate an OCN level 3 qualification in and of itself at base level in relation to homelessness support. I suppose it comes down to the ethos which we practice. You know, we're very much focused as an organisation, and I think it's true of all of the people that are running services in the organisation that I've met within the Simon community. We're very focused on investing in our staff. You know, when you get good people in the organizations and in the services, you want to keep them and you want to see them flourish. And sometimes that means, you know, providing them opportunities to move up within the organization and up within the services. And for me, that it provides a real benefit to everyone, because you're bringing people through then who have seen services that you're providing, and often quite complex services at different levels. And they can really bring the knowledge they've brought from a previous role or from a role that they're seeking to develop onwards now in the new role. So it really does come down to supporting that professional development at every hand's turn. Should a staff member show an interest in a certain area of work or an educational opportunity that may require us to be flexible around their working hours, for example, that we're receptive to that and we're supportive around that. The organisation, within my own team even, we have 2 staff members of 10 that are on flexible working hours and are receiving financial support from our organisation to complete educational courses. And they might not ever necessarily, you know, see the light of day in terms of the benefit to the Simon community. They may well move on in their career before they receive those qualifications. But again, it's just taking that broader view, isn't it, around trying to sort of help people to build themselves and create a sort of a group and a body of services within the support sector that's geared towards, as Derek's saying, in our case, eradicating homelessness, you know, eradicating the number of people going into prisons and into the criminal justice system in Johnny's sector, you know, abuse of children, whatever it is we're trying to do, we're trying to create that kind of that body of people that have skills and develop that and really nurture that, you know.
Oh, thanks so much for sharing that.
Laura, sorry, I could just follow on. Like, I know in my role, and a lot of the people that I work with, they've been with the Simon community for a long time, have moved through. Like, I started as a support worker. I know a lot of the people that I work with have started as support workers, went up to maybe senior pracs, outreach workers, project managers and stuff like that. And if we actually look through the Simon community, there's a lot of people who've been there a long time and have moved up. Professional development is a massive thing. Like, for example, I'd be over drug and alcohol support workers, and I'm always looking about how we can develop that person, how we can get them the proper training. I know it's for the same for every different project that's in the Simon community. So a lot of people that are in the Simon community have been for a long time and have moved up because they've been encouraged to move up.
Oh, that's so interesting to hear about that, because I know that could be sometimes some of the feedback I would get from candidates is, oh, I want to do this now, but I'm looking to do this in a certain, you know, couple of years. And it's great to hear that, you know, you do see that continuity, and also you're keeping that expertise within the team as well. And obviously people are really happy there that they have stayed. So I'm just going to welcome Claire along from Max. Thank you so much. A very happy last minute addition. Delighted to have you along.
Thanks for having me.
I did have a mini statement prepared on your behalf if we weren't able to get anybody. As you know, Max very close to me. So thank you so much for coming along. Basically the format of tonight is very relaxed, and we're just having a chat about different things. You're happy to share screen if there's anything you want to share, or if you want to just chat through.
Yeah, I think the video, Joanne might have said, do the video link on. I haven't got the video, but I'm happy to chat, as you know, whatever you need me to do.
Yeah, perfect. So if you just want to share a wee bit about Max and the projects that you're working on, and maybe any upcoming opportunities that might be open to support and social work.
Perfect. Max started off in the 90s, I think, as I was a one-woman band, and she could just sort of notice that there was children and young people in the community who didn't have a fair deal experiencing homelessness, substance use, self-harm. It has developed from then into different areas throughout Northern Ireland, Currently, we work in Belfast, Newry, Lisburn and Downpatrick. In each of those areas, we have supported housing where we take in young people who have come through the care system or who have experienced homelessness, and we provide them with supported accommodation for up to 2 years. The ethos in housing is move in to move on. So over those 2 years, we support our young people to develop skills into managing their tenancy and living in the community, while also building their points for a property with the housing executive and giving them skills to live independently. Also making sure that they're registered for the correct benefits and they understand their benefits, you know, when they move on out into the community. We have various roles within housing, which I'll come to. And that's where I started off. I started off in housing as a support worker and then progressed to housing worker and have now moved to a manager. We also, in those 4 areas, we also have our floating support service, which again has grown in all areas over the last couple of years. And there's definitely more demand for young people in the community who need support within their housing as it is, to either access benefits, to enroll for college, who may be struggling with life at home. So our floating support services, where our workers will come out and spend time with young people in their homes in the community. Over COVID as well, we noticed that, you know, there's an increase in demand for that service. We recently have our prison resettlement service as well, which has just taken off, where we have a dedicated worker who's working with young people coming out of the prisons and trying to find accommodation within the community as well. We also have a wellbeing service, which is slightly less hands-on, but it's maybe for young people in the community who have maybe need support for a short period of time. So maybe they're shy, they want to access social events, they want to work with other people, gain confidence. And we run a lot of groups through the wellbeing service. And we also have our Led by You, which is young leaders who have come through Max or have come through education and want a taste of what it is that what we offer. Currently, I am the shared tenancy, which is a new project as well, where we are matching young people who are in the community or coming out of hostel accommodation or coming out from homelessness, matching them with another young person and them sharing a tenancy within the community, which is quite new, but it's really exciting. And the project has been running for about 2 years now, and it's just seems to be coming strength by strength every year. So it's been a real challenge as well, but a lot of fun. Max as a whole, I think, just is to me what attracted me to Max was their ethos, and yeah, it's very young person led, and also there's an attractive salary and attractive annual leave, and it aims at families as well for flexible working. There's always someone there, or we'll always work with people to try and accommodate flexible working, because we know people have lives, people have children, people have special events in their lives. So for those reasons, Max was always attractive to me too. And I think even from starting in it, when you're working within Max, the team morale is fantastic. It's something I've never experienced before, and there's a lot of encouragement to progress and to move on and to move up through the ranks as such. But we also still utilize each other within the team. You know, we all work together, we club together, we eat together, there's no sort of hierarchy when we're discussing things in the office. It's sort of everybody's voice is important, which I really, really love about Max. At the minute, we do have quite a few positions available. We are recruiting for sessional workers, which is on a casual basis. Sessional workers will provide support into the supported housing. So that can be predominantly waking or sleeping shifts. It's on a casual basis. So the way that works is the rota is given out with any gaps that we have in our rotas is sent out to sessional workers, and they can take their pick of shifts that they would like, or would or can't do, and then it's divvied up equally. There's also you get holiday pay on that as well, so it works out how many shifts you do, then you get your holiday pay as well. Our Belfast Housing is currently looking for a team leader, which is a very challenging role but a very rewarding role. Belfast Housing is one of our biggest houses currently at the minute, and there's up to 18 young people living in it at one time. The salary there at the minute is 24,799. So it's based on the move in to move on. So it's managing young people within the building. So a lot of them will be moving in, coming in, finding everything quite daunting. And then you maybe built relationships with young people for 2 years and then they're moving on. So it's a really good role to see what can be achieved with young people over those 2 years. And you do sort of become part of their family as well. So it's a fantastic role. Our new role just come out today for communications admin. So that's based in our head office, which would be looking after the HR team and communicating for IT support and working alongside our external IT providers. So that's for those really techie people, which is something I'm not. But it's just been advertised today. We're still recruiting for support workers as well, which again, I'm sure a lot of you guys are the same. It's nighttime support workers, where it's where I started and it's where I fell in love with the job. But you're providing that support to young people at nighttime, and you're providing support for them when they're moving in, to make their flat a home, to make them feel safe, to help them if they have any worries at night. You get themselves into all sorts of scrapes and kerfuffles at nighttime. It's a lovely role to be in, where you're just that point of contact, where the day is done, there's no phones ringing. It's that time you sit and have a cup of coffee with a young person or a chat, and lots of relationships are formed through that. We're looking for support workers through all our houses in Belfast and Belfast, Newry, Downpatrick and Lisburn. It seems to be a role that, you know, there's always support workers needed, because people do progress through Max. And we're also looking for integrated workers. So the integrated worker would be, you take on a part of the floating job and take on a part of the housing job. So you do a bit of both. So you're out and about in the community with young people, and you're also providing support to housing, which is a very rewarding role as well. It's quite a challenging role, but you get the best of both worlds there, really. You know, you're out and about in the community, and you're also helping out with the housing. And in one of those roles is peripatetic, which means that you have no fixed house or no fixed office. You can sort of go where you're needed. We've had a few peripatetic roles that have come up recently, and a lot of people seem to have benefited from them, and they have moved around houses and gained quite a lot of experience. So I think for roles at the minute, I'm happy to answer any other questions. I've probably rabbited on for a good bit there. So happy to take any questions if needed.
Thanks, Claire. Really interesting to see what projects are kind of you're recruiting for at the moment, and kind of obviously then your new projects again. There's a new one that I haven't heard of, is like the prison resettlement. Everything. It's great to see, you know, organisations adapting to that as well. Yeah. That really gives opportunities then for staff coming in to see just different areas of, you know, expertise that they can get involved in. So thanks so much. If you do have any questions, do please pop them in the chat, and in the interim, I'm going to just run through a couple of questions that were sent in to me over the last couple of days as we were advertising. And feel free, if you want to answer for each of your organisations, or just jump in. So we're going to be nice and relaxed as usual with me. So this first question has come in to say, I would like to move into a paid work position after I've been a youth worker volunteer for 2 years. Do you consider volunteering experience as experience on your criteria, or must this be paid or placement work?
Certainly for the NSPCC, we do consider volunteering. You know, we also run in conjunction with Childline, so it's only right that we also think about our Childline volunteers moving into helpline roles. So absolutely, it's about the experience that we certainly look for.
Yeah, same for NIACRO. Like, I would be on the interview panels, and we would look for people experience, you know, so whether that's in a voluntary or paid capacity, if you can show the relevant, you know, examples in your answers, even if it was a voluntary position, we'd be happy to take that over somebody maybe who has studied criminology but hasn't actually done any work with people, you know, kind of way. So there you go.
Been the same for Max as well. I think we look for the sessional roles anyway, 3 months experience, either paid or voluntary.
Perfect.
Yes, we would be the same at Simon Community. Our support worker roles actually, we have recently looked at it. So we have an entry level within the support worker role. So that's mainly for individuals who maybe don't have experience and they're coming from a completely different sector, but they want to move in to support work. We offer that opportunity, and it's based on your values, and as long as they're in line with our organization. So, even if somebody doesn't have experience and they want to get into support work, we have those opportunities as well.
Well, Lisa, I'd definitely be really interested in hearing about that. We've recently been co-working a project where we've brought in some of our care assistants who have mental health experience in hospital to support with a young person in the community that's been struggling with their mental health. And they're absolutely loving it because they're actually getting real one-to-one support work experience using their current skills. But it's also contributing then for them to move into more of a support work in the community now. So yeah, definitely I'll have a few people be interested in hearing about that. And all of your organizations do offer volunteering programs, don't you?
We have volunteering within Childline, not the NSPCC helpline. Yeah.
Perfect. So the other question that someone had was, do you accept applicants that are not live on the NISC register at application, or do you have to be live in order to apply?
So no, we would just have, it would be required if they're successful in a post, they would then have to be NISC registered before they start the position, but they don't have to be NISC registered prior to applying.
Okay, perfect.
We would be the same, Lisa, as well. Yeah, we don't start you until you are NISC registered.
We don't have to be NISC registered. It's the qualification and then your experience that we would be looking for within that.
Oh, perfect. So I've just had a question in from one of the team. They've just feeding back how brilliant it's been hearing about the different organisations. Patty, this one's for you. For the NSPCC, do you ever recruit for bank staff for any of your positions?
Not currently, but it is something that we may well look to within the future. And certainly we've had staff that have moved on to different career paths that have also said to us, we would love to come back and do sessional work. So it might be something that we would look to do in the future, because we've just seen, just since lockdown, we've had like a 35% rise per month in contacts. So we're really seeing an increase. So that might be something that we would look to do.
Yeah, we definitely find a lot of our students when they're coming through are available to do, evening or weekend, or they can do maybe 3 days a week when they move through their different aspects of their degree. So good to keep in mind. And obviously, if you're on any of our mailing lists, we'll be keeping you up to date on any recruitment trends.
Childline do some sessional work and for bank staff as well. So if it is that level of child protection, but with more of a focus on children, Childline might also be a good option to support as well.
Perfect. I think this question's sort of been touched upon by us all anyway. There was a lady who said, I'm a new mum and I'm wanting to return to work part-time. Are there flexible work patterns available, or is it more set hours?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Certainly within the NSPCC, we do have flexible working patterns. We also have some job share opportunities that can come up. It's important that we try and support the right candidate into the post as best we can.
Perfect. I think that's the last one is, does your organisation support AYE sponsorship for new graduate social workers?
I don't know.
No,
I don't know either.
We can find out for you.
Yeah, that would be great. I'll put that on the. Yeah, that is one of the things that we do. Obviously, with our public sector posts, they're all NSPCC, NISC AYE supported. And we do have some of our other charity partners, such as Extern, that do offer it. So I think that's maybe where that question has come from. So Ruth has just popped in a wee question there around entry-level positions in the dairy area. Definitely something that we can link in with. I'd be happy enough to kind of give you a bit of an overview of some of our clients that maybe aren't here today that operate in the London dairy area, and just drop me an email after this session. Or could Simon, do you have any community of dairy?
We have a hostel in Derry. Now, unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have any permanent vacancies, but there would be opportunities to do bank staff work, which is like the sessional work. So if somebody's interested, and again, they can come in at entry level as well for that. It's the exact same process as, you know, a permanent support worker role.
Oh, perfect. That's really helpful. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for contributing. It's been really interesting, and thanks for agreeing to be recorded. I will hopefully get the recordings up in the next couple of days. I'm also happy to separate them out as well if you do want to use them yourself for promotional information or any of your social media platforms. I'm sure if you're like me, you love looking at yourself and hearing yourself on video. But that's great. Thank you so much. If anybody else has any questions, please do pop them in. And as you know, I'm always here if you need to have a chat with me about any positions. And, you know, for you guys, if there's anything you ever want us to promote or support in terms of the different employees and services that you have, please do get in touch with us. We're not just about advertising vacancies. We do like to share the good work that people do around the country, and I suppose that's very important for me to know, as it is sometimes seen as a bit of a recruitment salesy option. So please do let us know if there is anything or upcoming projects that you'd like to share, or good work that you've done that you'd like to kind of promote that might be interesting for our mailing list and our social media platforms. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Take
you.
care now. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye now. Bye.
Bye.